That's us, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. 215-204-9449 is the number if you want to call and hop on board with us. The Eagles have their home opener coming up Sunday, 1 o'clock over at Lincoln Financial Field. So let's go out on the phone lines right now to the San Diego Chargers play-by-play voice as well as the play-by-play voice of the New York Mets, and that's Josh Lewin. Josh, it's Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. How are you?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Well, we're doing great, and I appreciate it, you coming on and spending a few minutes with us. I was actually checking out your Twitter before the interview, and I see you're playing the piano. Now, I was a big piano guy myself growing up, playing a little bit of Moon River. But are you big into the whole piano game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hobby. It's just for giggles. But, yeah, I'm more kind of like old school Billy Joel and Elton John kind of stuff. But Bublé and Jack Johnson, that kind of nonsense, just something to do.
Well, let's get to the Chargers. That was the ultimate tease for that fan base the other night as they dropped a tough one after going up by a lot of points to the Houston Texans. And now you have this matchup coming up on Sunday. 2 new head coaches and Chip Kelly that has a plethora of offense with the system that he ran up against the Washington Redskins on Monday night. And Mike McCoy always has his offense as well, going back to his days with the Denver Broncos. This looks like it should be a high-scoring game come Sunday.
Yeah, I would think shootout's about right, and the Chargers have to find a way to slow down that highly caffeinated approach that the Eagles broke out there. I mean, we all knew it was coming, but it was kind of fascinating to see it actually in play. I mean, it's if nothing else, it's a really fascinating dynamic they're putting out there.
Josh, Chase Sr. here. Thanks so much for joining us. Since 2009, the Chargers' regular season record has gotten progressively worse. In your opinion, what is the big reason for the Chargers' decline?
Well, yeah, I mean, offensive line the last couple of years has certainly been an issue, and that's forced Phillip Rivers to make decisions that he probably shouldn't have made, just trying to do something a little bit too much, when it wasn't there. But, they've hemorrhaged good players, too. They've said goodbye to Vincent Jackson, Darren Sproles, and, that's a lot of offense that is no longer there. So I think that's a big part of it.
Josh Lewin joins us on the hotline, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. The Eagles welcome in the Chargers this Sunday at 1 o'clock, and Josh will be on the call for the Chargers radio station. Josh, this Eagles offense, it was impressive on Monday night. Now a lot of people question, will Michael Vick be able to stay healthy? Can this offensive system survive with running almost 80 plays almost every game, what is something Chip Kelly would like to do? What is the Chargers defense has to do in this football game if they're going to want to slow down the lethal attack of Philadelphia on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, I mean, third downs are huge. I mean, if you can get off the field, you can catch your breath, and that's what they're absolutely going to have to do. And, that's been a problem for the Chargers the last couple of years. But they've gotten younger up front. They've got 2 very good ends in Corey Liuget and Kendall Reyes, and hopefully that'll help a little bit.
Mike McCoy is a coaching candidate that Philadelphia was looking at after last season, and the Chargers make a nice hire, I think, because he did a fantastic job with Denver last year. What is the thought around the San Diego community on the hiring of Mike McCoy?
Well, I mean, when Norv Turner failed, I think it was kind of anybody's better than Norv. It was kind of
right.
the prevailing wisdom. But, McCoy's got to win people over, too. He's very intense and certainly not a good quote, very Belichickian in that way, is very close to the vest and just kind of talks in platitudes and cliches, and, that's tough for the media, but, he just wants to win football games, and if that's what it is all about, then I guess that's fine.
Another big story in this offseason was when the Chargers went out there and drafted Manti Te'o. He didn't play on Monday night with the foot injury. Do you have any update on him? Is he expected to make his debut in Philadelphia on Sunday?
Well, that's the hope, but I mean, he hasn't been, active basically in a month. So I'd be dubious about him being able to race right back in. He's basically just easing back into practice now, but yeah, it's important for him to be there sooner than later. I think it's maybe a 50-50 shot for this weekend at best.
When that whole Deadspin article came out about the fake girlfriend after he completed his senior season in Notre Dame and they lost to Alabama, it raised a lot of eyebrows about how that would play over into the NFL. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of offensive linemen making fun of him about that, but has that story gotten a lot of play since the initial week that Manti was in town?
No, it really hasn't. I mean, there's so many other things to look at and talk about, with football right now, and I'd be surprised if that continues for too much longer. I mean, for the fans, obviously, it's huge. They'll be shouting at him, all the time. But I would think, once you're in the throes of the game, it's all, just what you got to do to win a football game.
With the Chargers' decline, Phillip Rivers has also struggled in the last couple of seasons as well. To us, it seems like he's a little bit out of it. Is it fair to say that this is a make it or break it year for one Phillip Rivers, or is he going to be with this organization moving forward?
No, make or break is probably not inaccurate because it's a whole new regime, and Rivers is a talented guy. I mean, you look at his passer ratings over the several years before the last two, and he was right up there in the upper echelon, Aaron Rodgers territory. So, he had a 4-touchdown, no interception game going against Houston, made one bad decision. Cushing made a great play on a ball, and, you're kind of right back to gnashing your teeth over the guy. But, there's definitely hope.
Mike McCoy is known to be an offensive genius. How much can he help Phillip Rivers get back to being one of the elite quarterbacks in the National Football League?
I think it's a good hire for that reason. I mean, whether it was even Kyle Orton became a better quarterback under Mike McCoy, and, Tim Tebow obviously too, and didn't probably have to do that much with Peyton Manning last year, but, he's known for getting the most out of quarterbacks. That's absolutely.
We're talking with Josh Lewin. And Josh, two more questions right before we let you run. Dwight Freeney comes in the offseason. He was a big-time player, going to be a future Hall of Famer with his days with the Indianapolis Colts. What has been the impressions with Dwight Freeney on this Chargers defense?
He's been fabulous. He was super close to a bunch of sacks against Matt Schaub. I mean, he looks like he's motivated, and I think he's going to end up being a really surprisingly great pickup.
Now, before we let you go, I know you are the Mets broadcaster as well. I'm a good friend with Howie Rose. Actually, Peerless Boilers, which is your broadcast booth, also sponsors our broadcast for the Temple football games and the Temple basketball games as well. I saw the unfortunate news yesterday with WFAN. Do you expect to continue to be the play-by-play voice for the Mets next year?
Yeah, I haven't heard otherwise. I mean, we're team hires, and, wherever the broadcasts go, we both hope to be there, that's for sure.
Well, Josh, we appreciate a few minutes today. Thanks so much, and enjoy your trip to Philadelphia.
Anytime, guys. Be well.
Thanks, Josh.
Josh Lewin right there on the hotline, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP.